Let's put some text behind a player in a photo. First thing you have to do is cut out the player. I have a different tutorial on how to do this, but we'll just go through it quickly. If you go to your quick selection tool, that is W on the keyboard, go up to select subject, and Photoshop is going to take its best guess of what you're trying to select. Now if we go up to select and mask, I'm just going to quickly go through some settings, give it a little radius, some smoothness, and some contrast, and then shift the edge down. And now let's output the selection to a new layer with the layer mask. That's going to keep our background layer as it is. So let's turn back on the background layer. Now we have just our subject isolated. And if we create a new layer between the background and our cutout layer, let's go down to our new layer. Let's go T for the type tool and type out layout. And now Command T will allow you to transform, and we'll bring that up just by clicking and dragging from the edges. And we're with our move tool, so we can move this around freely. You'll see we now have the desired effect of the text being behind the player. But if you zoom in, like, the edges aren't always perfect on the player. Like if we miss something in our selection right here, the player's hand isn't perfectly cut out. So we can go into the mask here, and with our brush tool, let's use a black brush, and foreground color is black, so now we can brush out this green grass from the selection. I'm switching back and forth between the foreground and background color with X on my keyboard, and white will add back to the mask. So if there's a part we wanted in there, we would do with a white brush, but we're brushing out the parts with black. So let's add back some of the fingers there. And this is just standard practice with how to really fine-tune any cutout or any selection. And that looks good to me. If we wanted to take this a step further, we could give the player some shadows to make a shadow appear on the text. So if we go down here to our effects and go to drop shadow, that's going to give this player a little bit of shadow. Let's bring up the size, bring down the opacity maybe, or we can bring it up just so we can see the effect a little better. And now we've got this player pop-out effect. If we only wanted the shadow affecting the text, like if we didn't want the legs and feet to have shadow or the disc over here, you can isolate these effect layers by right-clicking and going down to Create Layer. And we'll hit OK. That's going to create this shadow layer by itself. And now if we just wanted the shadow to be on the word's layout, what we can do is clip this shadow to the layout layer below it, and we can do that by holding Option and hovering in the space between layers and then clicking. And now you can see we have the player shadow just on the letters of the word. It's a cool way to get a 3D kind of pop-out effect with some text in your image. Hope this helps.